Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another Pokemon TCG video. Today we're going to take a look at a deck that's been very popular so far this season, but now it needs to be updated with the new cards from XY Flashfire. That's going to be a Team Plasma deck. Now I won't spend a lot of time focusing on the strategy of the deck since it is very well known at this point. We'll just gloss over it quickly. Lugia EX is your main attacker. It has the ability Overflow. Takes an extra prize card when it gets a knockout with Plasma Gale, which does 120 damage and has to discard a Plasma Energy in order to use it. So it does 120 damage. Then we're going to use Deoxys EX's ability Power Connect, which adds 10 damage to each of your Team Plasma Pokemon's attacks. So we can start to get up to 150 or 160 damage with Power Connect and Plasma Gale. And then we use Muscle Band to add 20 more damage, which means we can knock out Pokemon EX in one hit, getting 3 prize cards and 1 attack from Plasma Gale thanks to that Overflow ability. We also have Thundurus EX with Raiden Knuckle. It's a nice lightning type attacker that's good against Yveltal EX. It gets energy acceleration while doing a bit of damage as well. So these are the 3 core components of the deck. Now, why do we need to update this deck? Pyroar. So Pyroar has that intimidating main ability which prevents basic Pokemon from damaging it. We need to do something about that since Team Plasma decks are only basic Pokemon. And that means adding some kind of evolution or some kind of Pokemon that can go through those effects, such as Giratina EX or Cobalion EX or the regular Rayquaza with Shred. Problem with all those is they're easily countered. Cobalion EX knocked out by Pyroar. There's Giratina EX, Rayquaza, Latias EX, all of those get knocked out by the new Druddigon, since they're all weak to Dragon type. So we need to take a different route. A lot of people like using a Water type Team Plasma Pokemon in order to counter Pyroar. Seems very simple, right? Use a Water Pokemon to counter a Fire Pokemon. I don't think that exactly works, since most of the Water Pokemon are actually pretty weak, and Pyroar knocks them out in one hit. Also, they aren't very useful against anything besides Pyroar, so they end up being a giant waste of space in 90% of your games. However, we can add a Pokemon that's also useful in other matchups, and the one I came up with is Umbreon. So Umbreon has the nice ability Dark Shade. Each of your Team Plasma Pokemon gets plus 20 HP. That's pretty useful in itself. And it also has Darkness Fang. 1 dark, 2 colorless does 70 damage. Now 70 is not enough to knock out Pyroar, but when we have a couple Deoxys EX in play, you can use Power Connect and a Muscle Band. All of a sudden, Darkness Fang can easily hit for 110 damage, knocking out Pyroar in one hit. And thanks to Dark Shade, we'll have 120 HP, so even with a Muscle Band, a Pyroar won't knock us out in return. There we go. That's how we're going to deal with Pyroar. And like I said before, giving plus 20 HP is nice anyway. That can really make your Pokemon survive some attacks they might not have been able to before. So Umbreon seems to have a nice place in this deck. The only thing I don't like is poor Eevee, not a Team Plasma Pokemon. There's not an Eevee that is. If there were, I would play it, but instead we're going to have to settle on this one. So we have 2 Eevee and 2 Umbreon in this deck. It's very difficult to fit an evolution line into a deck this big, so we had to cut some corners, but this is what we're stuck with right now. We also have a couple non-EX attackers in the deck. Absol has Mind Jack, is a very good card in Team Plasma decks. This can add up very quickly, and we also have a Snorlax as well. The block ability is really nice, and Team Pact is really nice because if you have a field full of Team Plasma Pokemon, it's 180 damage. And then say we have 3 Deoxys EX on the bench as well, that'll do 210 damage. And then with a Muscle Band, we can actually Team Pact for 230 damage, which can knock out even the Mega Pokemon. So that's very nice. Having that option to one-hit KO even a Mega Charizard with 230 HP or a Mega Kangaskhan EX as well. So those are the Pokemon of the deck. Otherwise, we have Colress Machine. This is our energy acceleration for the deck. Search for a Plasma Energy and attach it to one of your Team Plasma Pokemon, which is very good to power up your attacks quickly. If you'll notice, every Team Plasma Pokemon, for their big attacks, have a colorless requirement. It's not just all types, or not just all colored energy, it's usually just one, and then colorless for the rest. That makes Colress Machine very effective. We also have a lot of searching cards, 3 Ultra Ball, we need to get our Eevee, we also want to get other stuff. This can also get energy in the discard pile to use Thundurus EX's Raid Knuckle, and then 2 Team Plasma Ball to search out all of our Team Plasma Pokemon. I have a couple Switch and an Escape Rope as well. 2 Startling Megaphone, we need to really get rid of those Pokemon tools like Silver Mirror, and this also helps against Garbodor to regain our abilities against Garbotoxin. We've already looked at Muscle Band. We have Computer Search for the A-Spec card. You can definitely run Dowsing Machine or Scramble Switch if you really want to. Computer Search is kind of the standard, though. It's just the simple, consistent option, and I usually like to start with that with a deck. You're never going to be really upset to draw Computer Search, unless you really needed a Dowsing Machine. But Computer Search is always a welcome sight in an opening hand. We have 1 Professor's Letter, since we do play Skyla in this deck, which we'll get to. We can search for 2 basic energy cards, which we do run 2 of. We have 1 Lightning Energy for Thundurus EX, and then 1 Darkness Energy for Umbreon, and Absol as well. So we do need to find ways to attack with Umbreon. We have 1 Darkness Energy, and then 2 Rainbow Energy as well. I would run 4 of these, but the 10 damage it puts on your Pokemon is really, really bad. A lot of the time that can end up having your Pokemon being knocked out when you really didn't have to. So we have 2 Rainbow and then 2 Prism. This won't work on Umbreon. It will work on everything else though. We can always get these Darkness and Rainbow back with Thundurus EX. So if you feel like, oh man, that's not enough, it probably will be enough most of the time. Then we have the 4 Plasma Energy and 3 Double Colorless Energy to round out the energy. Our supporters, 4 Professor Juniper, 4 N. We actually have 4 Colress in this deck because our bench is almost always big. 2 Skyla, and then I have 1 Lysandre as well, which is basically Pokemon Catcher in a supporter form. Now, the way you build this deck is certainly up to you. There are definitely a lot of different things you could add to this deck. For example, I don't play any Shadow Triad to recover any Team Plasma cards. You certainly could do that. I also don't have Genesect EX to Red Signal. I have Lysandre instead. Genesect EX might work better for you. You can go ahead and run that. Maybe you don't like the Umbreon. You can change it up. You don't like the Snorlax. You don't like the Absol. This is just going to be a starting point list that I'm trying out. This deck has to change a lot. This one is the one that gets the hardest gets hit the hardest by Pyroar. And it's the one that's going to have to really need the most testing, I feel, to stay relevant. Pyroar is just a direct counter to this kind of deck, and we need to find a way to build it while also not ruining our consistency. So Umbreon is my first shot. We do have to cut a few corners here in order to fit it into the deck, but this is what the deck is going to look like. And let's go ahead and take a look at a game with our newly updated Team Plasma deck. So it looks like I will be going second in this game. Going to start off with Lugia EX, and then we'll go ahead and put Eevee and Deoxys EX down on the bench as well. We see a Mewtwo EX, so this could be all sorts of things. There's a level ball, and uh-oh, there's the Litleo. So Litleo, that means Pyroar, and we don't like seeing Pyroar. Pyroar is a pain, but this will give us an opportunity to see, does Umbreon actually work to counter Pyroar? And that's definitely something I want to be looking at. So we see the Rainbow Energy go on to Litleo, and then a Juniper. Oh no, discards an Arcan as well. That means this is a Pyroar Archeops deck. And in a worst case scenario, we could see an Archeops before Umbreon comes out. But with that pass, that means there's no Arcan, which means there can be no turn 2 Archeops. Which, okay. We at least have a turn to evolve. I'm going to computer search here, and I did have a Colress for 3, but I would rather just computer search for a different supporter entirely. Get a Professor Juniper, discard, draw 7 cards. I could have taken an N there, but I don't know, my opponent didn't seem to have a way to get Arcan, so I didn't want to bother. And we'll just Juniper instead. Discarding Colress wasn't a big deal. And we're going to go ahead and pass the turn with the Rainbow on the Lugia EX. If we could manage to knock out this Mewtwo, and take 3 prizes, that's a big win, since that's a lot less Pokemon we need to knock out. And we'll see if we can manage to do that. We're going to go ahead and get that Umbreon into play. That's big. We got that out before Archeops did come out into play. And I'll go ahead and bench an Eevee right here. Now, if I could get 2 Deoxys EX down along with a DCE this turn, we could Plasma Gale for 170 damage. I'm just going to go ahead and play the end here. And we did get a Deoxys and then a second way to get a Deoxys, but no way to power up Lugia EX. So that's a real bummer right here. So I'm going to go ahead and, I mean, this is kind of a tricky spot. I could leave Lugia active at this point, but it doesn't seem like the best thing to do. I may just retreat into Thundurus EX at this point and just start using Raiden Knuckle to power up an Umbreon, just so we have a way to respond to that Pyroar. And so that is what I'm going to do. We'll go ahead and bench another Deoxys so we can do a little bit more damage. We'll Raiden Knuckle for 50, and then we can get that Rainbow energy back onto the Umbreon on the bench. Getting ready for a Darkness Fang to deal with Pyroar. Now, another nice thing about Umbreon, it does have a lot of HP once Darkness Shade, or Dark Shade, whichever one it is. I already forgot the ability name. Once the plus 20 HP goes into effect, it also resists Mewtwo EX, so it's very difficult to knock out. And that's going to be a big deal. We want Umbreon to survive. That's what makes it a good Pyroar counter. It can survive and knock out Pyroar in one hit. Those are the 2 things you need in order to effectively deal with Pyroar, I feel like. So we'll see if we can actually pull that off here. We do see the big bad Pyroar coming out now, and it can start attacking with that Scorching Fang attack. Of course, it does 60 plus 30 if you want to discard a Fire Energy. Usually we see Muscle Band as well to make it hit for even more damage. So this should be interesting to see what's going to happen. Now, the Umbreon actually messes with the math quite a bit. Normally, Pyroar could, Scorching Fang, discard Fire, 2 turns in a row to knock out a Pokemon EX, but in this situation with the plus 20 HP, thanks to Umbreon, we can actually survive 2 Scorching Fangs, because Thundurus EX has 190 HP right now. I'm actually going to Team Plasma Ball for another Umbreon, and now we have 210 HP on a Thundurus EX, and that's just plain silly. So now we have tons of HP, and this actually makes it so that our Pokemon survive way longer than they're supposed to. Plus 40 HP is huge. We have 70 damage on Thundurus EX already, and it still has 110 HP left. That's just plain silly. Actually, it is more than that, right? No, it has 140 HP left. I can't even do math today. Now, we do see Archeops finally coming out, but it's a little too late. We already have both Umbreon in play, so Archeops won't be doing much here. My opponent actually doesn't play it, realizing that. It says, you know what, I would rather just evolve into more Pyroar before doing that. And that makes a lot of sense, actually. So, my opponent is playing very intelligently. And here, I have a couple supporters, and I could just rush right in there with Umbreon, but I wouldn't actually get a knockout with Darkness Fang. So instead, I'm just going to sit here and Raiden Knuckle for 0, getting more energy into play. I don't mind giving up 2 prizes here, because, you know what? I have so much HP, I really feel like I'm going to be making a big comeback. It's going to be so difficult for my opponent to even knock out a single Lugia EX, or a single Umbreon even. We have 140 HP on Umbreon. Deoxys has 210 HP. Lugia has 220 HP. It's just monstrous Pokemon here. These are reaching mega levels, and we didn't have to waste a turn to do it. So now we do see the Scorching Fang knocking out that Thundurus EX for good, and that's fine. This turn I'll be able to promote Umbreon and attach a DCE, and we just need one more Deoxys EX or a Muscle Band this turn, and we can just Darkness Fang for the knockout. So we'll go ahead and play that N. Did get the Deoxys, and that means we can Darkness Fang 100 damage thanks to those Deoxys EX on the bench. And we'll go ahead and knock out that first Pyroar and also end my opponent down to 4 cards. So that was a very successful turn, definitely. We see another Litleo coming out, and an Evo Soda Archeops does come out. But again, it just seems like it's almost worthless at this point because Umbreon is already out. And so it actually only end up hurting my opponent at this point. Wouldn't be able to play any Pyroar from the hand anymore because Archeops prevents my opponent from evolving too. So maybe my opponent would have been better off just, I don't know, not evolving there. But I am going to go ahead and attach another DC to that Umbreon. And then we did draw the Muscle Band. That was pretty fortunate. If I didn't draw Muscle Band, I probably would have just used Lysander and brought out Mewtwo. And Plasma Galed it this turn for 3 prizes. But hey, I'll take another knockout on an Archeops. That works for me as well. So now we're down to 4 prizes. We took down a Pyroar, geez, not an Archeops. We're down to 4 prizes. We've knocked out 2 Pyroar. And now this just seems like if you can knock out 2 or 3 Pyroar, you're basically going to win with this deck. Because Lugia can take 2 prizes on something. And that just makes it so, you know, especially with that Mewtwo out there, we got the Lysander. Eventually we should be able to take out that Mewtwo and just finish off the game with one big Plasma Gale. That's pretty much why Plasma might still be good even with Pyroar in the format. All you have to do is knock out a few Pyroar, and Lugia can clean up a bunch more prizes at some point. It's very difficult to have a field of only Pyroar. You would need multiple of them. Otherwise, cards like Escape Rope can get you, Lysander can get you, or Red Signal on Genesect, if you play that, can get Pyroar, or anything that's not a Pyroar can be knocked out. So there's plenty of ways for Plasma to stay relevant in this format, even with a card that almost seems like it was meant to counter it in Pyroar. We do see a Super Rod here, shuffling in 2 Pyroar and a Litleo. We see another Evo Soda, getting that Pyroar into play that does bypass Ancient Power on Archeops, since the evolution comes from the deck and not from the hand. My opponent did promote an Archeops here, probably just saying, please take this. I don't want it. I don't need to stop you from evolving. You have evolved all of your Pokemon already. It's only stopping me. And I don't know, this is an interesting spot. I mean, if I could pull off a Plasma Gale here, that would be fine. I would go ahead and do that, take 2 prizes, then we only have to take a couple more knockouts to win. This feels very slow for a Plasma deck, I will say that. This does shut down Plasma's strategy pretty well. You want to be taking prizes in big chunks with Lugia, and Pyroar just says, nope, you do not get extra prizes for overflow. You can't attack me with Lugia. We're going to slow this game down quite a bit. We see another Super Rod shuffling in, 2 Fire, and another Litleo. And I assume we'll just see a... Well, let's see, does my opponent still have Tropical Beach out there? If so, that would be what I would... Oh no, it's a Twist Mountain now. Go figure. Tropical Beach probably would have been better for my opponent here, but nope, just Twist Mountain, and now that's a pass. So I did draw a Colress Machine here. We can go ahead and grab a Plasma out of the deck. We'll go ahead and take a look through and see what's left as well. Got a lot of good stuff left. We should have enough to be able to close out this game. We have Lysander left. We have all sorts of good stuff. Oops. Oh no, I forgot to actually click on the Plasma Energy. Whoops. So I didn't take the Plasma Energy out of the deck. Whoopsies. That was a big mistake. But, alright, I was fortunate enough to just draw another Colress Machine. Yeah, that was the plan all along. I would just draw another one. Yeah. So now we get Lugia EX all powered up. I'm going to go ahead and Ultra Ball. Just thin out my deck a little bit in case of an end. We'll grab a Snorlax. And then retreat right into Lugia EX. I'm going to discard the DCE since I'm out of ways to provide Darkness Energy. And there's the Plasma Gale, finishing off that Archeops. And now we're down to just 2 prizes, and we have a monstrous field of just massive HP Pokemon. 220 HP Lugia, 210 HP Deoxys, and 140 HP Umbreons. This is pretty silly. There's a Scorching Fang for 90. Now, even with that hit for 90 damage, I still have 140 HP left. Or 120 HP left. Man, I cannot do math. But basically the idea is, even with a Muscle Band, Pyroar won't even be able to knock me out next turn with Scorching Fang. I would still have 10 HP left after another Scorching Fang discards energy. I did not get away to get a prize this turn. I missed a Muscle Band. I missed an Escape Rope. So we're going to have to pass this turn, unfortunately. But as long as I don't get hit by another N, I was fortunate enough to draw a Juniper off of the first one. But as long as I don't get hit by another N, I should be able to Skyla for an Escape Rope and Plasma Gale for the win. If Mewtwo comes out, I should be able to just Skyla for a Muscle Band and then just Darkness Fang for the win. So you can see here, Pyro Archeops, probably one of the best counters to a Plasma deck. Only thing missing is like Silver Mirror to really go after Plasma. But you can see we can still manage to beat Pyroar with the simple Umbreon. And that's all it takes. I do like the fact that Umbreon gives the extra HP as well. I feel like this is probably the best counter to Pyroar. And I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. We can see this here. And there's a Scorching Fang for 60, and that means we can go ahead and Skyla, grab the Escape Rope. And it looks like I was out of Muscle Band, so that could have been bad if Mewtwo came out to attack. But nonetheless, we're going to go with an Escape Rope and skip our way to victory. Something's got to come out, and it's the poor Lilio. So I'm going to go ahead and retreat back into Lugia EX and Plasma Gale for 170 damage, getting the final 2 prizes. And we do manage to take down a Pyroar deck with a Team Plasma deck, thanks to our Plasma Umbreon. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We even got the Upset Advantage reward, 2 extra coins, alright. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will certainly have some more for you soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.